So am I audible? Please someone tell that. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So what we did in the last class? बताइए क्या करा हमने लास्ट में? बताओ भाई।
आज है बस।
क्या करा था? I think Udayan Bhadra, we did Udayan Bhadra last.
Yes, sir.
And Udayan Bhadra was last king of Haryanka dynasty. And I think I have dictated this. So he killed his father Ajatashatru, and he shifted his capital to Patliputra, and he got converted to Jainism. So we have discussed all these things. Now, in the last, he was killed again by his own noble, and the name of the noble was Shishunaga. So new dynasty starts. So remember, here time period is not important for you people. So you don't have to remember time period from which age or which year to which year the king was there. You just have to remember the sequence. So where time period will be important, I will let you know, and I will dictate also. So don't worry about time periods here. So next dynasty is Shishunaga dynasty. So that is Shishunaga dynasty. So you can write Shishunaga was founder of Shishunaga dynasty. And Shishunaga shifted capital from Patliputra to Vaishali. Patliputra to Vaishali. And he had one son, and his son's name was Kalsoka. So after the death
Sir, could you repeat once actually voice was not clear?
he shifted capital from Patliputra to Vaishali. He means Shishunaga. So Shishunaga had one son Kalasoka. So after the death of Shishunaga, Kalasoka became king. So now Kalasoka is the next king. So this Shishunaga dynasty is not that important. We just have to study because it was there, but nothing significant happened there. Only one significant event happened there. So we will discuss what was that. So we write next to the Kalsoka. Now, when Kalsoka became king, he got converted to Buddhism. He was Buddhist. And I have also told you about Buddhist councils. So we will discuss in a while regarding Buddhist councils. So before that, just write down here that he convened second Buddhist council. Second Buddhist council. He convened second Buddhist council in 383 BC at his capital Vaishali. At Vaishali. So in the end, he was killed by a Vishkanya. So Vishkanya, do you know Vishkanya क्या होती है? Can anyone tell? Vishkanya? See, Vishkanya is a hired spy. You people must have seen in movies. So Vishkanya एक किसी लड़की को हायर करते हैं और उस that girl is spectacularly beautiful. and king is deceived by the beauty of that girl, and he falls prey to that girl, and that girl kill that king by doing something that she can mix in his something in his drinks, or she can mix something in his food, or anything she can do just to kill him. So these are called wish kanyas. So there was a person named Mahapadma Nanda. Mahapadma Nanda Mahapadmananda hired Vishkanya, and this Vishkanya killed Kalasoka, and Shishunaga dynasty came to end. So हम शिशुनागा डायनेस्टी के बारे में पढ़ रहे थे. तो लास्ट टाइम मैं उदयन भद्रा पढ़ा था, आपने लिखा होगा नोट्स में. तो उदयन भद्रा के बाद we were discussing about Shishunaga dynasty. So in the last class we discussed with Udayan Bhadra, and Udayan Bhadra was last ruler of Haryanka dynasty. So what happened after Haryanka dynasty? Shishunaga dynasty started, and Shishunaga was first ruler, and there was nothing significant during the rule of Shishunaga, and his son was Kalasoka. So nothing important is there. After Shishunaga, Kalasoka became next king. You can take a photograph of this, and then you can write after class. So Kalasoka, during Kalasoka's time, second Buddhist council was there. So I have also told about first Buddhist council. So we will discuss when we will discuss about Buddhism. We will discuss there what these councils were. So before you just now write down that second Buddhist council was held during the time of Kalasoka in 383 BC at a place Vaishali. Because Shishunaga shifted his capital from Patliputra to Vaishali. So now capital was at Vaishali. Earlier capital was at Patliputra.
Kalasoka was the son of
Shishunaga, yes. What are your very glances?
It's really kind of hard.
You forgot?
Really very good.
कोई कुछ पूछ रहा है क्या ऑनलाइन? तो सेकंड बुद्धिस्ट काउंसिल और कुछ सिग्निफिकेंट नहीं हो. And Mahapadmananda was noble. So I have told you about nobles. Who are nobles?
जो priests होते हैं.
नहीं, लास्ट क्लास में पढ़ा था मैंने. नोट्स रिवाइज नहीं करते क्या आप लोग?
वो कर रही है.
देखो, नोबल्स आर मिनिस्टर्स. जैसे भी मोदी जी के मिनिस्टर्स हैं, तो वैसे ही किंग्स के भी इनके भी मिनिस्टर्स होते थे. तो इनके जो मिनिस्टर्स थे उनको नोबल्स बोलते थे. तो नोबल वी विल यूज दिस वर्ड very often. Nobles are important ministers. So after second Buddhist council, Mahapadmananda was one of the noble, and he hired one Vishkanya. So Vishkanya, you know,
जो जिसके अंदर जहर होता है, ह्यूमन के अंदर जिसके अंदर जहर.
so like that, not exactly like that. Vishkanya is a kind of a hired spy. So that girl used to be very beautiful, and she was asked to lure the particular king. अपनी बातों में कैसे अपनी खूबसूरती के जाल में फंसाए किंग को, and then that king was ultimately killed by that Vishkanya. She may use a number of ways, like she can mix something in his drinks or in his food, and she can kill him with a sword or any other method. So Mahapadmananda hired one Vishkanya, and that Vishkanya killed Kalasoka. So that's how Shishunaga dynasty came to end.
He was the noble
Mahapadmananda was noble. So now next dynasty starts, that is your Nanda dynasty. So you can give the heading Nanda dynasty. So Any online student who cannot understand Hindi? Is anyone there? So earlier few students were from South India. Is anyone there who cannot understand Hindi?
Yes,
So,
sir.
you don't understand Hindi?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now next dynasty is Nanda dynasty. And who was the first ruler? Mahapadma Nanda. So Mahapadma Nanda became first ruler, and here the important thing is that Nandas were Shudras. So we discussed about castes. So Nandas were Shudras. So here important thing to notice is that from the earlier India or ancient India, Shudras were equally participating in the administration. They were becoming kings. So it means that Shudras were having good status in the society. So whenever you are writing an answer and you want to support your answer that Indian society was always egalitarian, that from ancient India we were equal. So there you can quote that we were having Nanda dynasty, that dynasty was ruling Magadha and they were Shudra. And in spite they were Shudras, still they were ruling. So it means society was egalitarian. So you can support your answer like that. So you can write few things about Mahapadma Nanda, founder, and he shifted capital back to Patliputra. From where? From Vaishali. So he shifted capital back to Patliputra from Vaishali. And this was first Shudra dynasty also. And in the end he got converted to Jainism. And he also, he was very brutal and aggressive ruler. He kept attacking nearby kingdoms for trade and glory. So basically attacks are for 2-3 purposes. Firstly, we can say that attacks are for expansion and wealth and for trade, and secondly attacks can be for glory purpose, just for glory. So after his death, he was having 8 sons. So his son ruled for quite long period of time, more than 8, but particularly we study 8 sons only. So in that 8 sons, all are not important for us. So for our examination, only his last son, who was the last king of Nanda dynasty, that one is important. So his name was Dhana Nanda. Dhana Nanda was last king of Nanda dynasty. So now write one line before Dhanananda, under Dhanananda, that in 321 BC, Dhanananda was killed by Chandragupta Maurya. So we will discuss it in detail. So now just write down he was killed by Chandragupta Maurya in 321 BC. So now give the heading. So here 2 stories are there, and you have to understand and link both the stories. So I want Alexander's invasion. Alexander's invasion. So have you heard before now about Alexander? Alexander the Great? Sikandar? Never heard. So Alexander was a person, he was a son of a person named Philip. His father's name was Philip, and his father was scholar. So, like this was map of India, which presently is referred as Akhand Bharat, like कुछ ऐसा ही मैप था. So, you people might be knowing that here Himalayas are there. This map is not exact, and these are coastal regions. Fine, and this region is prone to invasions. Mostly in history, we will study many of the invasions, and most invasions are from this side. So this is northwestern region, northwestern frontier. So Alexander was here somewhere here in, this is again not exact, Greece. He was the ruler of Greece, Alexander. And there was a province here. This province is Gandhar province. In this Gandhar province, there was one university or Vishwavidyalaya. Its name was Takshila Vishwavidyalaya. And Takshila Vishwavidyalaya was having one professor, and the name of that professor was Chanakya. So here was one professor, his name was Chanakya. So Chanakya was a very influential person, and he was aware about current affairs of that time. So he knew that there is a person named Alexander, and he is the son of Philip. Philip was a scholar, and he was a student of Aristotle. So Aristotle was again one scholar. So Alexander wanted, he wanted to conquer this whole earth. And for him, earth was not spheroid. Earth was not round for him. He thought that earth is flat region. So I will start from Greece region, and I will keep going, and I will keep defeating the kingdom in between, and I will conquer this entire land. So at that time here, America was not habitated, North America. No one was living in North America at that time. So he thought that I will defeat everything, and I will conquer this whole world. So he started his journey from Greece, and he came to Egypt. And in Egypt, he defeated the king of Egypt. And he constructed a city in Egypt on his name. And the name of that city is Alexandria. So once a question was asked in one of the exam that Alexandria city is in which country? So Alexandria is in Egypt. So after that, he came eastward, and he defeated Iran, Iraq region, Persian kings. Darius was a ruler. Darius III was a ruler, and then he started his journey towards Indian region. So he was resting here. So time here is 327 BC. So he was resting here, and this news came to Chanakya. And Chanakya was aware about his intentions, that what he will do, he will come to India, and he will defeat India, and he will keep India under his possession. So he was aware. So now Chanakya is aware. So what happened? So here is river Indus. So we studied about Indus river in Indus Valley civilization. So Indus river, the course of Indus river originally is very bouncy. So there are 2-3 types of rivers. A few rivers flow very gently. So there is no bouncing in their flow. They are very gentle rivers, like rivers of South India. But this Indus river is very bouncy. So you must have seen rafting. Have you done rafting? Rishikesh. So that river is bouncy. There are rapids in between. So the water of that river bounces up to few feet, and then it settles down. So such kind of a flow was there in Indus. But Alexander was not aware about that kind of a flow. So his army refused to cross Indus river. So he was waiting there. He thought that the river will settle down after some time, and when the river will settle, we will cross this river. So they were waiting here. Now, what happened? So this was India. So here in this region, this is Punjab region. So in Punjab, there was a ruler named Porus. And here, this region was Gandhara, and its ruler was Ambi. Now, Gandhara ruler wanted to defeat Punjab region. For extension, he wanted to expand his territory, but he was not able to defeat Porus. So what he thought? He thought that I should take help from Alexander. Alexander was waiting here. So he thought that I will help him to cross the river, and then we both combinedly will attack Porus and will annex Punjab. So this news reached Chanakya. Chanakya asked Ambi that not to follow this tactic, do not involve outsiders in your own Indian warfare. So this is not a good thing. If you want his kingdom, you can directly go and attack Porus. If you are having that much of a strength, you can defeat and you can annex. But Ambi denied. So Ambi invited Alexander, and Alexander came, and they combinedly attacked Porus. And the battle was there. This battle is known as Battle of Hydaspes. Battle of Hydaspes, 326 BC. Battle of Hydaspes. Or this battle is also known as Battle of Jhelum. Hydaspes is Greek name of Jhelum river. Now in this battle, Alexander completely defeated Porus. So now what happened during the war? Ambi asked Alexander that after defeating Porus, will you give his kingdom to me? So Alexander replied, so do you think I will? So because his aim was to conquer whole world, so he was never giving back to Ambi the kingdom of Punjab. So he refused. So in the meantime, Ambi ran away from the battlefield, and Alexander defeated Porus. The Porus was completely defeated. So when they defeated, Alexander asked Porus that now do coronate me. So remove your crown and put it this crown to my head, and you will coronate me, Rajya Abhishek. But Porus denied. Porus denied, and he said that you don't deserve to be coronated. You are cheat. Because when you attacked me, you didn't invite me for warfare. So there are rules for warfare. In India, there always been some rules. In Mahabharata, you must have seen, after Suryasta, there is no war. When Suryasta is there, there is no fighting. So you must have seen in Mahabharata, in some of the battle, Krishna asked, I think Indra or some god, that you can, or Surya, that you can hide behind some cloud, and the Kauravas army will think that there is a Suryast, and they will stop fighting. And the meantime we will attack, and after that you can emerge out from the clouds. So such kind of a play is there in Mahabharata. I don't remember exactly. So there are such kind of rules. So Porus thought that whenever some person will attack, that person will first invite me for war, and then he will give me some enough time to prepare. But Alexander was from Greece, there were no such rules, and he attacked directly. So Porus said that you are cheat. Now Alexander asked that how should I treat you? Then Porus replied that treat me like a king treats another king. So by these lines of these words of the Porus, Alexander was impressed. He was impressed by the valor and bravery of Porus. So he signed a friendship treaty with Porus. So treaty of friendship was signed, and in that treaty, Porus' kingdom was given back to him, and Porus was appointed as in charge of this region. And Alexander appointed his own governors to check this region, and those governors were called satraps. So Alexander appointed satraps. Satraps were Greek governors. And after appointing those governors, Alexander went back to his place. And while he was returning back from India in Babylon, Iraq, he died. Alexander. So when he died, just after his death, Porus declared independence. and after Porus, these satraps also declared independence, and they became independent kings. So that's how Porus was eliminated, and his dream to conquer India or whole world was shattered. But his actual aim was not limited to this region. He wanted to go further. So here was which region was there?
Sir,
Magadha region. Magadha was there. Magadha was there. So when Alexander asked Porus that I want to attack Magadha, and Porus said that Magadha is a very strong kingdom, and they were having elephantry army, standing elephants they were having. So you cannot go directly and defeat those Magadhas. They were having strong elephant army. So he was shaken back and he went back. So now what happened? Alexander's episode is over. Now there is an episode of Chandragupta Maurya and Chanakya. So again, these two stories are linked. So here was Takshira, and in Takshira there was a person named Chanakya. So what Chanakya wanted, when Alexander was waiting outside the gates of Indus River or Jhelum River, then Chanakya went to Magadha. Chanakya was aware about the intentions of Alexander. He went to Magadha, and Magadha ruler at that time was who? अभी हमने Dhanavanda. He was the ruler of Magadha. So Chanakya went. What Chanakya wanted to stop Alexander here only. He didn't want that Alexander should come in and then conquer this whole India. So Chanakya was having sympathy towards his own land. So what happened? Chanakya went to Dhanavanda. He took his horse. Chanakya went to Dhanavanda. Why he went to Dhanavanda? Because Dhanavanda was having great army of elephants. So he went to Dhanavanda and asked him that, see Dhanavanda, I am Chanakya. So Chanakya, he also knew Chanakya because Chanakya was very famous very famous teacher, professor. That there is a person named Alexander, and that Alexander is trying to intrude in Indian territory. And by the time you will realize he will come to your gates. He will come to Magadha and he will defeat you also. So do one thing, just stop him before the Indian borders. Come with your army and stop Alexander here and now only, and we will stop Alexander here, and he will not be able to attack Indian subcontinent. So, but Dhanavanda said that, see Acharya, your logic is fine and what you are saying is fine. But until and unless my kingdom is not under threat or my kingdom is not attacked by Alexander, I will not attack him. Because it is not my dharma to attack Alexander when he has not till now attacked my own kingdom. So he was also fine, he was also right at this place. But Chanakya was still adamant. He was insisting that, see, if you don't want to fight, do one thing, you give your army to me. Give your elephantry army to me, then I will go and I will fight with the head of that army and I will defeat Alexander. Chanakya was saying this. And Dhanavanda refused this offer of Chanakya also. So this angered Chanakya. And when someone is angry, and there was a heated argument between the two. So there was a heated argument, and both of them started criticizing each other. So in that criticism, Chanakya said to Dhanavanda that you are Shudra. That was why you are not giving your army to me and you are not coming to fight Alexander. Had you been a Rajputa, you must have come with me and you must have defeated Alexander. So it is your caste which is stopping you from doing this. So this hurt the ego of Dhanavanda. Now Dhanavanda is hurt. So Chanakya's complexion was not fair, he was dark skinned. So after hearing these words from Chanakya, Dhanavanda started making fun of his Chanakya's dark skin, that you are a dark skinned person, like such kind of words like we also used to do in our childhood. So he insulted Chanakya. So in anger, Chanakya untied his choti. Chanakya untied his choti and he took a pledge or vow. He said that I will not tie my choti until I remove you from your throne. So by saying this, Chanakya left his court and Chanakya took his horse and he started his journey back from Magadha. And in his way back home, he was resting somewhere. He was taking rest. So when he was taking rest, there was a one small kid or child, not that small, 10 to 14 years of age, and that person was having food. So when Chanakya is there, that kid offered food to Chanakya because it was not considered good to have food without asking another person. Even today also, when someone is having food, they offer that you please also have some food. So that child offered food to Chanakya and Chanakya declined. But conversation started between them. So they started talking and then Chanakya asked that who are you? And he said that I am Chandragupta Maurya. So I am Chandragupta Maurya. Then so what do you do? What you are doing here? And he said that my father was killed by my maternal uncle. So I am from one of the clan, but my father was killed by my maternal uncle. So Chanakya asked that then what you are doing here? Go and fight with your maternal uncle and take your kingdom or take your clan back. Then Chandragupta said that I don't want my clan. So then Chanakya, so what do you want? It is your dharma, it is your duty to get back your kingdom. Then Chandragupta said that I want whole Magadha. So Chanakya was impressed by this kid that he want whole Magadha. So how you will have that whole Magadha? Then he said that I want to defeat Dhanananda. यहाँ पर दोनों की वाइब मैच हो गई. Chanakya was having hostility towards Dhanananda and again Chandragupta Maurya was against Dhanananda. Then Chanakya asked one more question. What will you do after defeating Dhanananda? So you will be surprised to know that what he replied. He replied that I will go and I will attack Alexander and I will defeat Alexander. So he was small kid, but he was having knowledge of whole world and he was having that much forward thought that he said that I will become king and I will go to this region, northwestern frontier, and I will defeat Alexander, who is waiting at the frontier and who is trying to intrude in the Indian borders. So here Chanakya was impressed, very impressed, and he said that trust me child, you come with me, I will take you to Takshila. I am professor, my name is Chanakya and I will teach you everything. War, espionage, administration, politics, economics, I will teach you everything there and I will make you able to defeat or kill Dhanananda. So Chandragupta Maurya trusted him and Chandragupta Maurya went to Takshila with him and Chanakya trained him very well and in 321 BC Chanakya was very influential. Chanakya influenced all the courtiers, bodyguards of Dhanananda and Chanakya and Chandragupta Maurya silently walked to the restroom of Dhanananda. He was taking rest. So he just woke up and then Chanakya asked that, do you remember me? So Dhanananda was speechless or he was shaken like that, what to reply now. And then Chanakya asked Chandragupta Maurya and the moment Chanakya gave a sign that do what he planned, Chandragupta Maurya took his sword out and he cut the throat of Dhanananda and Dhanananda was killed. So that's how your Munda dynasty was eliminated and your Maurya dynasty started. So it is said that Chandragupta Maurya was equally intelligent as that of Chanakya. So some of the historians argue that half of the brain of Chanakya was with Chandragupta Maurya. So with the heading Maurya dynasty. Before discussing Maurya dynasty, do not give the heading. So this was the starting of Maurya dynasty. Before discussing about Maurya dynasty, we will first discuss about Buddhism and Jainism. So give the heading Jainism. Or you can first.
Sir,
Yes.
Sir, what about Ambi, sir?
Ambi ran away from battle. He ran away from the battle. After that, he was not heard.
Okay, why, sir, that was Alexander has resigned his deal?
Why Alexander signed the deal?
Yes, sir.
Because Alexander was impressed from Porus. The way Porus replied, the way Porus talked to him, he was very impressed that he hadn't seen such a brave man like Porus. Because in spite of having nothing, in spite of knowing that he will be killed, Porus was very adamant that I will not crown you. I will not do your coronation. And he also said that treat me how a king treat another king. So he was impressed. So that was why he signed treaty. And he was also not able to defeat Magda because Porus told him that Magda is having very strong army, you cannot defeat Magda. So that was why he signed treaty and he went back. And also his soldiers were restless by this time, so they were continuously fighting from Egypt, then Persia, then here, Battle of Hydescus. So they were restless till now. So
Sir,
yes.
sir, before India, what were the countries invaded by Alexander?
So he defeated all the countries. Egypt, first he defeated Egypt, then Persia. So right now we study Iran and Iraq. So at that time was Persian Empire. So it was having Iran, Iraq, some Saudi Arabian region. So that was whole Persia. So Egypt is not the present day Egypt, but that Egypt was very large in size.
Yes.
So fine. So with the adding rise of Jainism and Buddhism, in that we will discuss about Jainism first. So before discussing about Jainism, its theory is very important. This year also a question was from Jainism, and that question I have also discussed in class. So before discussion, just write down few facts. So write down Jainism. So Jain means follower of Jaina. And ism means ideology. And in the Rig Veda, the term Tirthankara is the term Tirthankara is mentioned. So one homework for you, you have to find the meaning of word Tirthankara. So Tirthankara are gurus or leaders in Jainism. So like there are gurus in Sikhism, so there were gurus in Jainism also. So they were known by the name Tirthankaras. So there are 24 Tirthankara in total. 24 Tirthankara in total. First one was Rishabhnath. Second and Rishabhnath पहले को first ऐसे लिख देना एक तरफ first Rishabhnath और यहाँ पे आपने डैश मार के ना symbol लिखना. All those 24 Tirthankaras they were denoted by one symbol. Symbol or sign. So his symbol was bull. B-U-L-L, bull. So we don't know the exact reason behind this. So there are few stories in which it is said that their mothers used to get one dream, and in that dream they were shown that they will give birth to bull. So there are many stories like that, and some say that these signs are on their qualities. So So no one will ask you the reason behind these signs. So Rishabhanath is denoted by bull. Then second one was Ajit. Ajit. And his sign was elephant. And now I down 23rd. First two and last two are important. 23rd. 23rd was Parsavnath. Parsavnath. P-A-R-S-V-A. Parsavnath. Sign was snake. 24th was Mahavira. What can be its sign? Guys, guess. क्या बोलो? ट्री. अच्छा पेड़ ट्री नहीं जानवर में कुछ है गैस करो. इंटेलिजेंट गेस. वाई कहो. सॉरी. Rhino. What is the most prominent among animals? Lion. So lion. See, it is proclaimed by Jainas that Jainism is as old or even older than Vedas. So, but before 24th Tirthankara Mahavira, Jainism was not codified. It was not in the codified form, or it was not a sort of religion. So Mahavira codified the teachings of all the Tirthankaras. So then after Mahavira, Jainism is considered as religion. So remember this thing. So he was last Tirthankara Mahavira. So after him, Jainism started as a religion. So Mahavira is important for us. So now we will discuss few facts about Mahavira. So write down. Early life of Mahavira. His original name was Vardhamana. Born in 540 BC, Kundal Grama in Vaishali. Vardhaman. And his clan's name was Janatrika clan. So these are some factual information. You have to mark these information. His father's name was Siddhartha. And his mother's name was Trishla. Father's name was Siddharth, mother's name was Trishla. And his wife's name was Yashodha. देखो उतना पूछेंगे नहीं, but as a civil servant, you are supposed to know these information. So his daughter's name was Priyadarshika. At the age of 30, he left his home. So his teacher was teacher was Mahagosala. Mahagosala. And Mahagosala also was founder of Ajivikas. He was founder of Ajivikas. I will explain. He was founder of Ajivikas. So, Ajivikas, it is a sect of Shaivism. So these Ajivikas are like in Hinduism or in Islam also there are different sects. One is religion and then religion is divided into few sects. So like in Islam also there are Shia sect, Sunni sect. So this is a kind of a sect in Hinduism also. So they believe in destiny. They believe that whatever is happening, that is pre-decided. You are coming to class here, that was decided earlier. So whatever you do will not make a difference. Everything is predestined. So they believe in destiny. Very important, they believe in destiny. So like you people are preparing, whether you prepare or not. If it is decided that you will become officer, you will become IAS, then you will become. Otherwise, how much effort you may put, you will never clear this exam. So this was the opinion of Ajivikas. They believe in destiny. So next write down. He spoke, or his mother tongue was simply right. His mother tongue was Ardha Magadhi. Ardha Magadhi. But he preached in Magadhi. But he preached in Magadhi. So at the age of 36, he left his guru and he became naked monk. He became naked monk.
At which age, sir?
36. So ages are not that important. UPSC will never ask these ages. So at the age of 42, अभी पहले लिख लो, then we will discuss about Jainism. अभी सिर्फ फैक्ट लिख दो. At the age of 42, at Vaishali, on the bank of river Riju Kaliga, under Sal tree. He attained Sal tree. Sal is a variety tree. He sat down under Sal tree and he meditated there and he got moksha. Moksha. And moksha is known by a name Kaivalya. Very important. Kaivalya is Magadhi name or Jainism. In Jainism, moksha is known by the name Kaivalya. So whenever a Jain monk attains moksha, it is said that that person or that monk has attained Kaivalya. So Kaivalya is the ultimate state. So when you are इस कहते हैं ना कि इस दुनिया से ऊपर उठ चुके हम लोग, तो मोह माया के जाल से ऊपर है. सो जब उस जाल से ऊपर उठ जाते हैं तो आपको मोक्ष की प्राप्ति होती है. सो दैट मोक्ष इज नेम्ड बाय वर्ड कैवल्या इन जैनिज्म. एंड एट द एज ऑफ 72 at Pavapuri. At Pavapuri, he died or attained Mahakaivalya. He died or attained महाकैवल्य। Every term which you are writing is important. You never know what they can ask. So these were few facts regarding Mahavira. So now write down 5 doctrines. So first give the heading teachings of Jainism or teachings of Mahavira.
Sir, both Jain and
कुछ भी तो जैनिज्म एंड महावीरा एक्सचेंज कर सकते हैं दोनों को। तो जैनिज्म की जितनी भी टीचिंग्स हैं वो महावीरा ने ही कंपाइल करी है। तो ये जो टीचिंग है इनको डिवाइड करते हैं 5 डॉक्ट्रिन्स प्लस 3 रत्नास। दीज टीचिंग्स आर डिवाइडेड इनटू 5 डॉक्ट्रिन्स एंड 3 ratanas. So first we will write about 5 doctrines. So write down Satya, Asteya, Ahimsa, Aparigraha, and last one was Brahmacharya. अब ये लिख दे right knowledge, right faith, and right conduct. Right knowledge, right faith, right conduct. अभी हम इसको थोड़ा समझते हैं क्या होता है। सी पहले बात करते हैं। देखो ये फिलोसफीज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है जो अब हम समझ रहे हैं। Why these philosophies are important? These philosophies will help you in your history exam, and these will also help you in your essay exam. And again, this will also help you in your ethics exam. There is a paper 4 in GS. Every people see the syllabus or exams, various exam, GS1, GS2, GS3. Then 4th paper is of ethics. In ethics, you are asked about moral values. What are moral values? And then in that Jainism and Buddhism become important. And also these doctrines play a very important role in your personal life. Whether you become civil servant or not, these are very important for your personal well-being. So it's a बहुत knowledge मिलती है सीखने की. So first one is Satya. So what is Satya? Truth. So this is that always speak truth. Do people speak truth? So he says that always speak truth. So in present day practically it is not all the time possible to speak truth, but generally we should. Sometimes there are situations where you have to lie, but try to stick to truthfulness and be truthful. So he says that Satya bolo, sach bolo हमेशा, झूठ मत बोलो. Then second one is Asteya. Asteya means do not steal. चोरी मत करो. Do not steal. Ahimsa means non-violence. Don't be violent. Don't be violent towards people, persons, and even animals also. Don't be violent toward animals. He said that say no to animal eating. So are you vegetarian people? You are non-vegetarian? Vegetarian. So he says that do not harm animals. Do not kill animals. Do not eat animals. So he said no to animal eating. So you will see in Buddhism, Buddha will not say that. Buddha says that khao, jo khana hai khao, like me enjoy it. But he said no, you have to follow strict path. So Jainism is very strict religion. Aparigraha do not own property. So when you own property, you become greedy. So if you own one car, then you wish that I should have one more car. If you are having a bike, you will aspire that I should have one car. Then after one car, you will aspire for a bigger one, then bigger one. So your greed keeps increasing. So he says that do not own property. So the moment you own property, then you start asking for more property, and also be contentful. First of all, do not even own property, and if you are owning some property, do not have any desire for others' property. Don't have aspiration that other person is having that big building and I am not having that big building. So that thing is called aparigraha. So don't aspire for others' property. Then next one is brahmacharya. So we will discuss brahmacharya later. So and here it says right knowledge. So what is right knowledge? Right knowledge is the knowledge given by Jainas. So that is right knowledge. So what Jain scriptures say, that is right knowledge. So your source of knowledge should be right. Like if you have seen in some of the example, if I take the example of a terrorism, please do not mind someone that few religions in Islam also, some people are brainwashed. So they themselves are the people who commit terrorist activities. They themselves are correct. They think that we are doing right thing because their source of knowledge is not correct. So whatever knowledge is given to them, they work on the basis of that knowledge. So if your knowledge is incorrect, if you are not having the sense of right or wrong, so you are not at fault because you are not having the knowledge what is right or what is wrong. So your source of knowledge should be right. So right faith. Have faith in the proper institution. Do not have faith in witchcraft or sorcery. Have faith in your soul, your teachings, Jainism, Tirthankara, whatever they say. Right conduct means dharma. Like the laws, these laws, if you follow these doctrines, your karmas are right, your conduct is right. So right conduct means do not steal, be in discipline. These are very moral values, you can say, according to Jainism. So if you practice these 5 doctrines, so you will ultimately follow right conduct. So these are the explanation of these things. So now what Jainism say that there are 2 things in human body. So human body is made up of two things. So one part is jiva and another one is ajiva. So jiva means soul and ajiva means body. By this, Mahavira wanted to say that in human body there are 2 elements. So our soul is living entity. So when we die, our soul leave our body and our body is like a dead object. So that body is in itself is not having any life. So life is there in soul. So Mahavira gives importance to jiva. He says that you have to activate your jiva and you have to deactivate your ajiva. Means you have to reduce your bodily desires. So when you reduce your bodily desires, your ajiva deactivates and your jiva activates. So what are the ways to decrease ajiva? First one is that first desire in humans come from our body. Like we wear clothes. Every time we visit a showroom or we visit a shop, we find that I should buy this thing, I should wear this t-shirt, or I should wear this thing, that thing. So we are indulging that thing. So Mahavira says that the first step towards deactivating ajiva is discard your clothes. And discard your clothes, become naked. So you are not wearing anything. So present yourself as nature made you. So nature, you are born naked, so be naked. So nature has made you naked. So we were not born with the clothes. So he said that first discard your clothes. When you will discard your clothes, your ajiva will deactivate. It will start decreasing and your soul, jiva will activate. He says that punish your body. Punish your body by doing meditation or penance, tapasya. The more you punish your body or more you suffer, more your desire decreases, more your jiva deactivates and your jiva activates. So he's give importance to soul, and for him even God is secondary. He says that God is secondary, your soul is primary. He gives that much of importance to soul. And also he says that do not think bad about others. Do not for violence, he said that follow ahimsa, and he says that do not think even bad about others, and you are hurting other by thinking. When you think bad about someone, your energy will reflect your thoughts. So many times we say that कि इस person से मेरे को बहुत negative vibes आती है. So whenever some persons come or someone is there and you automatically feel negative or you are not at comfort with that person. So that is due to vibes. So Mahavira tells that person is thinking bad about you in your mind, and your energy, your vibes will tell everything. So don't even think bad about others even in thoughts. And he says no to non-vegetarian food, do not kill animal, do not eat animal. Then he says that every object, this pen has a soul. Every object has a soul, and every soul has a purpose. Every object, this table has a soul. And this all non-living objects are having soul, so they can feel pain. He says that, Mahavira says that every object has a soul and every soul has a purpose. So this question was asked in this year CSC preliminary examination. This was asked in a way that which of the following religion prescribed that every object is having some kind of a soul. Like this statement was given. So answer was Jainism. So I have discussed similar content in previous class also, in the previous batch. So they ask from between these theories. They can ask anything. So you have to be prepared. So theory of philosophy is very important. Then he says that why brahmacharya? Why brahmacharya? Because these are general virtues. Satya, Astya, Ahimsa, Kriya. Even today we are taught these things. But brahmacharya is not universal. It is not all the time taught by religious leaders. He says that brahmacharya is not prohibited for all, but for the person who want to attain Kaivalya, he should practice brahmacharya. Why? Because if he marries, marriage brings with itself some responsibility. With marriage comes responsibility. So he will have to follow his duty as a father, as a husband, as a son-in-law. So he will be having much of the duties, and those duties will obstruct his path towards Kaivalya. So when his path will be obstructed towards Kaivalya, he will not be able to achieve Kaivalya. And also marriage means reproduction. So when he will reproduce, then it will again activate his ajiva. So it will activate his body. Then again it will delay its path towards Kaivalya. So that is why he forbade brahmacharya. So here remember, these four tenets or doctrines were added by 23rd Jain Guru, 23rd Tirthankaras. His name was 23rd. देखो क्या नाम है? Parsavnath. 23rd Parsavnath. So these four were added by Parsavnath. This fifth one, brahmacharya, was added by Mahavira. Very important. These four were given by Parsavnatha, and fifth one, brahmacharya, was given by Mahavira. So, and there is another philosophy in Jainism also. So, that is Anekantvad. So, Anekantvad means that there are more than one way to see a perspective, You must have seen that image. In that image, 6 is written like this. 6 is written, not exactly like this. Like this, 6 is written. And if that 6, a person sees from here, he will see that this is 6. If a person sees from here, he will see this 9. So thing is same, but varies is their perspective and from which angle they are looking. So Jainism says that for every object, for every phenomena which is happening in this universe, there are more than one ways to identify that phenomena. So that philosophy is known as Anekantvad. So this question was once asked, that philosophy of Anekantvad is related to which of the following religion? So in that case, Jainism was answered. Anekantvad. And in preliminary examination, many questions are there on books of Jainism. So write down few books, important books. So one book is Parisht Parvan, P-A-R-I-S-H-T-A. Parisht Parvan. Parisht Parvan. So this book is related to Jainism. Kalpa Sutra. Kalpacharya. Kalpa Sutra and Kalpacharya. These two are in Jain text. ये अलग अलग है, कल्प सूत्र, कल्पचार्य, दो अलग अलग बुक्स हैं. कल्प सूत्र एंड कल्पचार्य. There is one homework for you. You have to study about Bahubali statue. Bahubali statue. Bahubali statue, and after that when you will search in Google, you will write Bahubali statue Jainism. So you will find out that where it is, who made this, and what is its significance. So ये इसकी philosophy. अच्छा, और एक दो बात और थी. He never criticized Varna system. He even didn't praise Varna system, or he was not in favor of Varna system, and he even didn't criticize Varna system. Chaturvarna system. Mahavira didn't criticize Varna system. When we will study about Buddha will criticize Varna system. And he was egalitarian in nature, and he was okay for both males and females. So he was okay for both male monks and female monks. And there is one practice in Jainism. So that practice is important. So that practice is called Samthara. The name is very important. Samthara. So what is Samthara? Like in Hinduism, you might have seen fasts in Navratri. There are fasts. And also even in today's Guruvar, on Thursday Virvar also, in Sawan also, अच्छे पति के लिए व्रत करते हैं सावन के सोमवार के. करे नहीं आप लोगों ने? तो वैसे एक संथारा होता है. संथारा इज अ फास्ट. फास्ट इन जैनिज्म, फास्ट अनटू डेथ. फास्ट करना है until when you are died, तब तक आपको भूखे रहना है. तो there was a case in Supreme Court. In that case, a little girl was there and she wanted to do Samthara. So there was a hue and cry that why that the little girl want to do Samthara, and that case reached Supreme Court. Then Supreme Court gave a judgment. Supreme Court said that Samthara is not a suicide. See, Samthara and suicide are somewhat similar, but suicide is prevented. It is a crime. Suicide is a crime. आत्महत्या करना अपराध है. But Supreme Court says that Santhara is not equivalent to suicide. Santhara can be practiced, but to practice Santhara, you must be a Jain and you must be accepted Jain by Jain community. You cannot say that I am Jain. The Jain community must accept you as Jain, and you must be Jain for at least 20 years to do Santhara. Then only you can do Santhara. And what was the difference? What Supreme Court said that suicide is practiced or suicide is done, committed in the depression state. So mind is not in a peaceful state. So mind is disturbed, frustrated and depressed. But Santhara is done in the place of bliss, when mind is very peaceful and calmful. So then Santhara is practiced. So Santhara is totally different from suicide. So Santhara is also allowed. So what happened with the passage of time? There was in Magadha Empire, there was a famine, and most of the Jain monks were living in Magadha Empire. And see, Jain monks at that time, they were not having good income also. They were not having money to sustain themselves. So they were supported by kings, and king used to give them alms, king used to give them some food and money, and they were supported by kings. But what happened? There was a famine, and few of the monks went to South India. So there was a group of monks led by Bhadra Bahu. He went to South India. So Bhadra Bahu went to South India to escape famine. So, and one group of monk residing in North India they were led by Sthul Bhadra. So he went to south along with many monks, and Sthul Bhadra was living in North India in Magadha. But Nandas, so they were naked. So they were roaming here and there naked. So Sthul Bhadra and his band of monks, all those monks, they were asked by Magadha rulers, Nandas and Mauryas. They said that you are roaming here and there naked. It is not a good social norm. See, in today's society also, if someone is roaming naked, so generally he is caught by police and some person, and he is taken back to some isolated place or towards his family. So it is not considered as a good social norm. So you people do one thing, you people cover your body with some cloth or with some robe or with some anything. Please do cover your body, as it is not looking good. It is not a good social norm. So they covered their body with white clothes. So after some time, when Bhadra Bahu and his monks, his fellow monks came back from South India, they were shocked. When they saw that their fellow mates, they are now covered with white clothes. So there was a meeting, or in meeting they decided and they both met that they said that now we are practicing this clothes wearing practice from long time. Now we are used to this practice. But they said that when we will follow the original teaching of Mahavira. Mahavira said that discard your clothes and we will keep discarding the clothes. So they amicably resolved this issue, and they divided Jainism into two parts. So Jainism was divided into two parts. So the group led by Bhadra Bahu was called as Digambar, and the group led by Sthul Bhadra was known as Shwetambar. So you know what is Digambar? दिगंबर इज आसमान, आकाश. सो इनको बोलते हैं स्काई क्लैड, कि आकाश को पहने रखे हम लोग. नेचर, वी आर कवर्ड बाय नेचर. एंड श्वेत मीन्स वाइट, अंबर मीन क्लोथ. श्वेतांबरास मीन वाइट क्लैड और वाइट क्लोथ वेयरिंग मॉन्क्स. So you can while considered one more fact that first Jain Council at Patliputra headed by Stulbudra. So that was all about Jainism. So now put the heading Buddhism. So Buddhism, first write few facts about Buddhism. Founder was Buddha. So his original name was Siddhartha. Born at Lumbini, Garden, Kapilavastu.
जो महावीरा के फादर थे एंड ये वाले से बात है दोनों सेम
नहीं अलग अलग है, ये सिद्धार्थ अलग है, वो सिद्धार्थ अलग है. He was born at Lumbini Garden, Kapilavastu, Nepal. Kapilavastu is in Nepal. So many times they have asked, Buddha was born in. Sometimes they give Lumbini as option, and sometimes they may give Kapilavastu as option. So both are correct. So they will never give both the option in one question. So he belonged to Shakya clan. His father's name was Shuddhodana. And mother's name was Maya. Shuddhodana, Maya. And his son's name was Rahul. His two disciples were important disciples, Ananda and Gopali. Gopali. Ananda and Gopali.
Sir,
Yes,
what were the Ananda Gopali?
they were his disciples, his students. His students. At the age of 35, at Bodh Gaya, under people tree, on the bank of river Niranjana. On the bank of river Niranjana, he attained Nirvana. So nirvana is Pali name for what? Moksha. Nirvana is Pali name for moksha. So after attaining nirvana, he was called Buddha. So his mother tongue was Maghi. But he preached in which language? Pali. He preached in Pali language. His first his first sermon or speech was at Sarnath in Deer's Park. Deer's Park, Sarnath. And at the age of 80, he attained महापरिनिर्वाण. So जैसे हमने वहाँ भी पढ़ा था कैवल्य एंड महाकैवल्य, वैसे यहाँ पे है निर्वाणा एंड महापरिनिर्वाण. So nirvana is for moksha, महापरिनिर्वाण is for death. So at the age of 80 he attained महापरिनिर्वाण at Kushinagar. So इसकी टीचिंग की बात करते हैं. He said, Buddha said that life is full of sufferings. जिंदगी में सिर्फ दुख है. And desire is the root cause of all sorrows. Every sorrow you face, there is a desire behind that sorrow. Like if you people are preparing for UPSC CSC examination, and unfortunately if you people didn't clear exam, then you will be in despair, you will be in sorrow. So that sorrow, from where that sorrow came? That sorrow came from a desire to become officer. So if you people will not have any desire, there will be no sorrow. You will be living a very happy life. But it is very difficult to become that desireless person. You have to have some desires if you want to progress. So Buddha says that life is full of suffering. And yes, someone asking something? No. And he also said that expectations always hurt. Whenever you expect from someone that he will do this or she will do this, you will always be hurt. If you expect that he or she will message me in the morning, good morning, with some emojis, but if that is not there, you will feel hurt. So why you are feeling hurt? Because of your expectations. So expectations always hurt. इससे कुछ expect मत करो. If someone is doing something, then that is fine. If someone is not doing anything, that is also fine. So that is easy to say. Things are easy said than done. So Buddhism give us very important learnings. Like we are learning that no expectations, even from our parents, even from brother, sister, every relationship. The more you expect, more you will get hurt. So never expect even from your preparations. You are preparing, but never expect that you will clear exam. Yes, prepare that hard that you will clear exam. Prepare that hard, but don't accept. If you expect, don't expect. If you expect or if you and then you don't get, then you will be very hurt. You will get hurt. And if you are not expecting and you will clear, you will be very happy. And that feeling of happiness is, you can say, that will give you the feeling of moksha. Don't expect much. Be okay in any situation. Don't be that sad in cases of grief, and don't be that happy when you are happy, or when you have done something, don't be that happy. Be in a balanced state of mind. So Buddha is saying that, but that is also again helping us in daily life. And Buddha says that always follow a middle path. Never be on the extremes. And some people are, they like extremes. If they do something, then they do it by heart, and they are into that particular thing. And if they won't do that thing, they will leave that thing. And if they, some people are, they start studying. Some of my friends and some known students are there. When they study for 16 hours in a day, sometimes 18 hours in a day. Some are there, but then after that 18 hours, they sleep for 2-3 days. So that is an extreme situation. And when they will not study, they won't study even a single hour or even for few minutes. And they will enjoy their life for 3-4 days, and then 5th day they will realize that they also have to study. Then they will study whole day. Then again they will take rest. So these are extremes. You don't have to follow the life of extremes. You have to follow a middle path. Be on the middle line. When you will study 4-5 hours daily for 2-3 years, then you will definitely clear exam. You have not to expect you will clear that exam, but that have to be consistent. Consistent efforts have to be there. So UPSC is not the game of quantity of time. Yes, it takes 2 years. It may take 3 years. So you people might have seen examples who say that he prepared for 1 year and he cleared in 1 year. So most of them are lying. Most of them studies from 12th class, that you are studying from 12th, they prepare for 3 years. And after 12th, in the graduation, they prepare for 3 years. So after doing their graduation, they just sit in that particular exam and they clear that exam. But every people know that they have given exam just after graduation. But no one knows that how much hard they have worked in their graduations. So बोलते हैं कि ये फूल मुझे विरासत में नहीं मिले, तुमने मेरा कांटों भरा बिस्तर नहीं देखा. तो जो आपने पहले हार्ड वर्क किया है तो वो बहुत ज़रूरी है. सो दिस एग्जाम रिक्वायर ड्यूरेशन. यू हैव टू स्टडी. इट्स वेरी होलिस्टिक एग्जाम. दे हैव नो बाउंड्रीज. They have very much liberty. They can ask from anywhere. But we don't have that liberty. We cannot study everything. We have to limit ourselves so that we can revise. We have to make handy notes so that we can revise. So that thing you people have to understand. And he says that we have to follow madhyam marg, middle path. Then hatred. If we hate someone, that is extreme. And if we are obsessed with someone or some object, that is again an extreme. So love lies in the middle path. So love is there in the middle. Obsession is again extreme. Hatred is again an extreme. So we have to be in the middle. Like coward. If someone is coward, so that is extreme. Bilkul bhi courage nahi hai. Then someone is courageous, and someone is foolhardy or over courageous. That over courageousness again will land him in that problem. So over courageousness is not also a good thing. So you have to be middle path. You have to be courage. So these are the teachings of Buddha. And Buddha's teachings are also called as also united in eightfold path or अष्टांगिका मार्ग. So we are heading अष्टांगिका मार्ग or eightfold path. It says that लिख लो छोटे छोटे हैं. Right knowledge, right determination, right speech, right knowledge, right determination, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right awareness, right concentration. And Buddha also says that Buddha criticizes Varna system also. Buddha says Varna system is not good. And he says that Buddha, Give importance to your body. Enjoy your needs. Enjoy your life. Buddha says that when you are done with your enjoys, then come to meditation. Then do concentration. So Buddha is not against desires. Desire in the sense, Buddha is not like Jaina. Like Mahavira said that you have to punish your body. Very strict rules in Jainism. In Buddhism there is leniency. So whatever you want to eat, you can eat. So there is no restriction in Buddhism. So but in Jainism there are very hard restrictions. So that is why Jainism is a very restricted community. There are very few people in Jain religion, but Buddhism is widespread. And Buddha also says that if you want to live happily, you have to make peace with your past. There have to be no regrets. Even in your life also, if you are having something that is haunting you or some memory that is coming to you again and again, you have to accept that memory. You have to make peace with that past. So if you're in a relationship also, if someone is having a relationship of past and that relationship is haunting that person with some dark memories, and he have to accept that thing, that it was a thing of a past, and when he accepts that thing, he will become happy. There have to be no regrets. Otherwise, if you are having regrets, that regrets will keep again coming to your mind and they will disturb your peace of mind. So Buddha says that make peace with your past. Also, in his monasteries, first Buddha was against female monks. He said that when females will come to the monasteries, they can lead to disruption in the discipline, as males may get distracted. So firstly, he was against women entering into sanghas. So we will discuss about sanghas also. But later on, Buddha accepted women also. So women equally participated later on. But in the initial phase, Buddha was against women entering into sangha. So right on next, three tenets or three concepts of Buddhism. Again, three concepts of Buddhism: Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. So Buddha means the leader, the one who is leader. So you have to have one leader in your life, whom you will follow, from whom you will learn. And second one is Dhamma. Dhamma means Dharma. Dharma means duty and righteousness. So what is your duty as a student? Your duty is to study. As a teacher, my duty is to teach you, and I have to perform my duty judiciously. Whatever is your duty, you have to follow that duty judiciously. And third one is Sangha. Sangha is organization of monks. There are few rules and regulations. And if that person is a part of that organization, he has to follow the rules of organization. He has to follow discipline. He has to be in discipline. So there is one homework for you again. So there are few symbols in Buddhism that are attached to the life of Buddha. So I will tell you the symbols and you will find their meanings. First write down lotus and bull. You will find it easily. So see one thing, whenever you are searching anything for UPSC related material, when you write the heading, just after that write UPSC. So you will be directed to the main content. See, if you are writing that science related to Buddha, then write in the end UPSC. So you will easily find. So lotus and bull. Then is horse. Then is Dharma Chakra. Dharma Chakra. Then is Bodhi tree. Bodhi tree. Then is Stupa. डिस्कस करेंगे क्या होता है स्तूपा. And now write down 4 cardinal values. 4 cardinal values. Four cardinal values One is Maitri, Maitri, Maitri. Second one Karuna. Third one Mudita, Mudita. What is the meaning of Dhriti?
Patience.
Patience. Dharya, I mean. Next one is Upeksha. So Maitri is love all, do friendship with all. And Karuna is kindness or compassion, particularly compassion. So what is compassion? Feeling that is kind. See, compassion is if you are suffering from some pain, and I can see that you are suffering from that pain, and I can also feel that pain. So that is compassion.
Empathy.
So there is a thin line of a difference between empathy and compassion. Empathy is when you are having pity or when you are having some किसी के लिए आपके दिल में दया का भाव है. You have not felt every feeling. Suppose there is a person X, there is a person Y. So there is a person X, there is a person Y, and there is another person Z. And Y has lost his father. Right? Now this person X can feel the pain of he can have some sort of a sympathy or daya ka bhav for Y because Y has lost his father. But X cannot exactly feel what Y is feeling because X has not had the feeling of losing father. How if we lose our father, how we feel? He did not have that feeling, X. But if Z, again Z also has lost his father, Z can exactly feel what Y is feeling. So that is called compassion. When you can exactly feel what another person is feeling. And X cannot exactly feel that thing, that is called empathy. So empathy can be in every person, but compassion cannot be in every person. It has to be developed. It can be there, but we have to develop this by reading books, by watching movies. If you watch a movie, you develop compassion because movie make you go through that particular stage or situation. So that is why book reading and movies are important. So next one is Upeksha. Upeksha, Mudita. Mudita means joy for others' success. Then Upeksha means inner peace. Then write next 3 mudras. See, there are many mudras in Buddhism. I think there are more than 10-12 mudras, but we will discuss only 3 mudras. So these 3 mudras write out. First one is Abhay mudra. Abhay. What is Bhay? Dar. So Abhay mudra, it denotes fearlessness. Then is Dhyan mudra. It denotes concentration or meditation. Last one is Bhumi Sparsh mudra. Bhumi Sparsh mudra. So Bhumi Sparsh mudra means that it is performed by touching Mother Earth. It says that Mother Earth, I am surrendering my bad qualities. Bad qualities like anger, ego. Now write down Buddhist councils. So पहले भी discuss करा था Buddhist councils. इसका एक टेबल बनाएंगे for Buddhist councils. So we have to learn these councils by heart. So first one gives serial number, then year, then place, king, year, फिर place, फिर king, then monk, then frog. So now you people will type first community. जल्दी से बताओ. फर्स्ट हमने पढ़ा था फर्स्ट बुद्धिस्ट काउंसिल. नहीं यार, फर्स्ट बुद्धिस्ट काउंसिल 483 BC. लिखो मेरे साथ जो मैं लिख रहा हूँ. क्या लिखो? So जब यहाँ तक लिखा मैं नाम निश्चय तक. So here under work write down Sutta Pitaka. This is the place to write. Sutta Pitaka and Vinaya Pitaka. Sutta Pitaka and Vinaya Pitaka. So Sutta Pitaka is Sutta Pitaka was written by Ananda. And Vinaya Pitaka was by Upali. Sutta Pitaka by Ananda and Vinaya Pitaka was by Upali. हमने पहले पढ़ा था Ananda and Upali. And the Sutta Pitaka is read out simultaneously. Sutta Pitaka is a book regarding teachings of Buddha. Teachings of Buddha. And Vinaya Pitaka is regarding rules for monks. एंड सेकंड बुद्धिस्ट काउंसिल के आगे जगह आपकी शुरू होगी प्रॉपर बनाया हुआ. इसमें देखो इन दिस सेकंड बुद्धिस्ट काउंसिल में विनय पिटका अमेंडेड. सेकंड बुद्धिस्ट काउंसिल के पैरेलल में इन दिस सेकंड बुद्धिस्ट काउंसिल में विनय पिटका वाज अमेंडेड. In second Buddhist council, Vinaya Pitaka was amended and no new work was there. Third write down Ashoka के नाम पर we will discuss it later. Ashoka मोगालीपुत्र किस्सा. पाटलिपुत्र. अभी पाटलिपुत्र, और जो बुक है, बुक का नाम है अभिधम्मा पिटका, ABHIBHAMMAPIDAKA, अभिधम्मा पिटका, अभिधम्मा पिटका. And this book contained Jataka stories of Buddha, JATAKA, Jataka stories of Buddha. अब देखो, here we are having 3 Pitakas. In second and third Buddhist council, 3 Pitakas are there. Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka, and third one is Abhidhamma Pitaka. So fine. So write down next. Fourth Buddhist council.
कितने कागज?
4. Very important. Any exam you will give in UPSC or in your life, if there is a question from Buddhism, there is very helpful already, and question will come from this table. If you will be giving CDS examination, CBF examination. So in that those exams, many questions are from this table only. So you have to remember. You will, with the rest of time, when you will revise it 2-3 times, you will be able to remember. So fourth one was in 72 AD. So remember what difference. Till now these councils were in BC, before Common Era. Now it is in AD, 72 AD at Kundalbana. And sometime in case of a Kundalbana, Kashmir is also given. Same. King was Kanishka, and there were 2 monks, Ashwa, that's very good, Ashwagosha and Vasumitra. इस मीटिंग में था स्प्लिटेड बुद्धिज्म. So this is the table. You people have to remember this table. So this will make you solve many questions. And with the passage of this table, you can also solve other questions. Like you people will remember the time years. Ajatashatru was during 483 BC, and his capital was at Rajgir. Like this, you people will remember places also. And the monks, these monks were contemporary to whom? These monks were during the time of which king? Such kind of a question can also be there. And Sutta Pitaka written by Ananda, Vinaya Pitaka by Upali. Sutta Pitaka is regarding stories of the life of Buddha, and Vinaya Pitaka is regarding rules for monks. So fine. So then now there are few facts regarding Buddhism. Write down, few books are there. So write down Buddha Charita. Buddha Charita. Buddha Charita and Saundaryananda. Buddha Charita and Saundaryananda. These books are written by this one important नहीं है, पढ़ लेते हैं. Ashwagosha. See how question comes in exam. No, these are two books, different books. Buddha Charita and so how they ask question, they will give you the name of book. They will not give this simple book, Buddha Charita, they will ask about Saundaryananda and will ask this book is related to which of the following religion. Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, and then in these questions you cannot even apply your logical thinking. Either you know or you don't. You cannot guess. So these are very factual questions. So another one book is there. So name of that book is Lalit Vistara. This book is again related to Buddhism. Lalit Vistara. Then there is one again one painting. Write down Shalabanjika. Shalab, Shalabhanjika. Shalabhanjika. Now you can leave 2 lines here. When your class will be over, you will Google this image and you will see how it looks like. Then you will add 2 lines from that picture according to your own understanding. So now for the Buddhism later on got divided into fourth Buddhist Council की हमने बात करी. Fourth Buddhist Council 72 AD. In that council, Buddhism got divided into 2 parts. So हुआ क्या कि there were many monks. So with the passage of time, Buddhism was also influenced by Hinduism, and few of the monks were of the view that we will consider Buddha as a leader. That whatever the teachings of Buddha, we will consider those teachings as universal teaching, and we will stick to those teachings only. But few of the monks and the king, we have written the name of king Kanishka, he was saying that no, Buddha was God. So there was a quarrel or there was an argument between the monks. So in the end, they decided that we should split Buddhism into 2 parts. So one part was called Hinayana and another one was Mahayana. So Mahayana is also called as greater, weaker, sometimes B also, or this is called as lesser, weaker. And Mahayana was write on इसी ऐसे टेबल में दो. In Mahayana, Buddha was seen as God. Mahayana, Buddha was seen as God in Mahayana. So Kanishka and Vasumitra, they were on one side. They said that no, Buddhism, in Buddhism, Buddha is God. So those monks or those people who supported this theory that Buddha is God, so they were follower of Mahayana Buddhism, and this was supported by Kanishka and Vasumitra. Again, there was another monk in that assembly, in that 4th council. What was the name of that monk? देखो क्या नाम है monk का? There were 2 monks in 4th council. Ashwagosha. So Ashwagosha, he said that no, I will stick to the older teachings of Buddha, and I will say that Buddha was not God, Buddha was leader. Buddha himself said that I am not God, I am leader, I am a man just like you, I am human, I am just your leader. But few people wanted to make him God, so Mahayana emerged. So Buddhism got split into 2, Hinayana and Mahayana. So in Mahayana Buddhism, right now, there is a concept of Bodhisattvas. There is a concept of Bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas are leaders or Buddhist monks who delay their own nirvana
who delay
Delay, yes, D-E-L-A-Y, who delay their nirvana for others, or in order others can attain nirvana. Who delay their own nirvana. See, these bodhisattvas are monks. They help people to achieve the ultimate purpose of nirvana. They help them in meditation or in concentration or in learning, and in the process even their own nirvana is delayed, because they themselves are giving their own time to others, and others get nirvana in the meantime, but their own nirvana is delayed. So there are few of bodhisattvas whose name have been asked previously, so write down their names. Padmapani, Padmapani, Padmapani,
Padmavani,
Padmapani, water. Vajrapani, Manjushri, and Avalokiteshvara. So just I will take 2 minutes extra. So write down one book is again there. This is over. One book is Theory Gatha. Theory Gatha. This book was composed by women. And this text is dedicated to women also. देखो इसमें क्वेश्चन आया है कभी recently in CBSE exam. So it was asked that what is the meaning of word theory. So it is not exactly clear, because in NCERT, according to NCERT, theories are respected women. Or according to NCERT, theories are elder Buddhist nuns. According to NCERT. But according to some Buddhist sources, theory word is used for any woman. Any respected woman can be given name or can be addressed by theories. So there is a bit confusion. So until unless UPSC do not release key, we cannot certainly say that theory means elder nun or a respected woman. So now remember just this thing, that theory is related to women, or theory is a text related to women, or there are number of texts in Buddhism. So when you will practice previous question, whenever you find a new text related to Buddhism or Jainism, you will add that in your notes. So just one last point, all the texts which ends with Avadana, A-V-A-D-N-A, Divya Vadana, Savarna, Avarna, Avadana, all those texts which end with Avadana are Buddhist texts. So you can write all those texts which end with Avadana are Buddhist texts. So this is one of the shortcut. With the help of this you can reach answer. And there are many Avadana texts. So you will find in the previous questions, previous questions, many questions are there from Avadana texts. So if you people can identify that Avadana means Buddhism, so you will reach your answer. So, and there are many other books also. Whenever you do research or you are studying from some book or somewhere else, if you find any book there, you can add. So our time is limited, our capacity is limited, so we cannot discuss each and every book here. So you have to do value addition. So value addition is the key. So that's all for today.